So I make $453 per hour working with each buyer. And this is because I made this shit a system. So I have a pretty much like almost a 200 step process for buyers and for working a checklist for working with sellers and a checklist for working with outbound referrals.
Welcome back to the Agent Goldmine. You are joining us today with Ali Garced and Shelby Johnson. Surprise! Nothing new here. But okay, so what we're about to do, we're about to go on an adventure into a 6-part series where Ali leads us through her buyer process. And y'all may have heard, maybe not. This girl, she got a 200 step, I could be lying, but a lot big step buyer checklist plus specific canned emails that are like the shit. And why it's the shit also is because a lot of you are like, I don't want to work with buyers. Why would I want to work with buyers? I don't want to show houses. I want to go around and waste all my time. Well, Ali has nailed this process so much that she actually spends less time with buyers than she does with sellers. So today, get ready to figure out how. Gold miners, welcome Ali Garced.
Welcome to the Agent Goldmine, the only podcast in the world specifically for real estate agents who are stuck at 5 transactions a year to help them get to 20 plus. Your hosts, Ali Garced and Shelby Johnson, 2 EXP icon agents, each do over 40 transactions a year and interview others who are crushing it. In this podcast, you'll receive the knowledge to help you scale your business using systems and processes with our interviews and monologues twice a week. If you want to be a part of our community, reach out. Welcome to the show.
The crowd goes wild.
Yeah.
Wanting to work with buyers. So I have done previous episodes on this podcast. Check them out, the earliest couple of ones where I have tracked my numbers like a freaking crazy mad woman. And I found that I make more money working with buyers than I do working with sellers and even outbound referrals, which is actually the majority of my business right now, outbound referrals. So I make $453 per hour working with each buyer. And this is because I made this shit a system. So I have a pretty much like almost a 200 step process for buyers and for working a checklist for working with sellers and a checklist for working with outbound referrals. This is going to focus on buyers, just like Shelby said. This is going to be broken into a couple of different part series. I don't know how long. I don't know how many series or how many parts this is going to have, but we'll see how this goes. If you have any questions, please reach out. And I want to give a shout out to somebody that reviewed us on the Agent Goldmine. I think it was on YouTube that gave us a review.
And here it is. This is Jake Logan out of Fayetteville, North Carolina. And he says, direct quote, first off, I want to say that I've listened to 80% of all of the podcasts on the Agent Goldmine, and both of you are fucking boss, LOL, period. Ruben is all right too, LOL. I don't know y'all that well yet, but we're on the same page with a lot of things. All 3 of y'all that was all caps, are literally who every agent should strive to be. So keep that shit up because I can't even put into words how helpful this is. The information is invaluable. Super stoked to be able to have you guys in my corner, exclamation point. Thank you, Jake Logan, and everyone who's listening. Go and give him all the love in the world at the Jake_Logan on the gram. And yeah, Jake, thanks for listening. I love to fucking hear it, dude.
Yeah, 100%. When I saw that notification, I was like, dude, this is an awesome ass review. So Jake, you got my follow. I super appreciate it. And if anyone else has any commentary, anything, let us know. If you want us to go more in the weeds into something, let us know. We don't know. So sometimes we just like skip over some stuff or go super high level. And we don't know if you have any questions because we don't hear it. So Jake, appreciate you. Everyone give him a follow. The Jake Logan. So now, headed to the home buying checklist, step by fucking step, starting with step 1. Step 1 is going to be, you've already found the buyer. If you have any questions on how to even find a buyer, okay, great. We're starting with how to find a buyer. How do you find a buyer? Listen to any of the other fucking episodes. Step 1, once you find a buyer, is whether that is somebody reaching out to you or you reaching out to them. I hope to goodness that you're using a dang CRM. So I use KV Core, but obviously it doesn't matter what CRM you use, just freaking use one. So what I do when a buyer comes across my Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, whatever it is, I immediately add them. Well, actually, what I do is I tell my assistant on WhatsApp their name, their number, their email, and I'm like, hey, can you add the typical tasks that I do for a buyer? But before I had my assistant, I would go into my KV Core. I would add all of their information, any other extra information that I would have as well, such as their nickname, such as maybe a birthday, such as where they're looking to purchase, when they're looking to purchase, but most importantly, in the description of the notes section, I add the source. And the source is how they originally came across me or how I came across them. So over time, as I'm closing transactions, I'm looking at what the common sources are. And if you're a military spouse, I mean, it's going to be your military spouse. Use and abuse it, man. You're in front of all these people that are moving that you can help. And so I found like pretty much like half of them were from it. They originally contacted me from social media, but they knew me or knew of me or my spouse because of Brit. And this was after I left the military, because when I was still in the military, it was, me surrounded by other military members. So source is so important. If it's a Zillow lead, if it's a TikTok lead, ask them what fucking video, like everything, because you want to know exactly what of your effort is working. So that way you can double down on that and do less of the stuff that's not working.
And
so add this. Oh, yes.
And jumping in, if it is a referral, you better fucking note that it's a referral. And even if that agent doesn't send you the fucking paperwork, you're going to be the good person and say, I know that you sent me this lead and I am going to do what's right because I know that karma is the guy on the Chiefs coming straight home to me. So if you don't if you don't pay out the referrals, keep track of those and update the referrals when you get them, you're not going to get any more. Okay, that's it.
Oh my gosh. Thank you so much for bringing that up. And yeah, because Shelby knows my story. I put it on Instagram. I don't want to, yeah. There was one time where I was freaking burned and I sent an outbound referral to, was like Bossier, is that how you pronounce it? Bossier, Louisiana, like Shreveport area. And I never got paid. And it was completely my fault. I didn't have the paperwork done. But
still,
like,
they should have not been that way.
Yeah. And we had it in the group chat too. I was like, dude, scroll up. You agreed to pay me 25, 30%, whatever it was at the time. It was like one of my first outbound referrals. And he was like, yeah, well, we never got the paperwork signed, so I'm not going to pay you. I was like,
him.
bro. And since then I have sent 5 referrals to that area. They all could have gone to him.
Dude, I want you to say his name. I know we don't need to be that, but I want to. You know what I mean? Like I really want to. Burn book.
Okay.
Don't do it, Ali. It's okay. Keep your heart, fucking clean.
I spent so much time like dwelling on it at the time, and he's on my referral list of never to refer to.
Right.
Because I have a tab on my Excel. I don't even remember his name is my point. Like,
good.
I was so butthurt, and I was like, I'm never gonna send him a referral. And now I know his brokerage, but I don't want to talk bad about a brokerage. So it was not EXP. And now I know, like, whenever I see his name or him in a group, like automatically that entire like group just diminishes in value for me. So I don't remember his name, but I will know it if someone says it. So if you ever are sending out a referral to that area, please contact me. I want you to be paid. And so yes, thank you, Shelby, for bringing up that point.
We're bringing it back in. Yeah. Step whatever's next.
That is, yeah. So that is add them to your KV Core. Add them to your calendar, especially if they're looking to purchase sooner rather than later. Add them to whatever organization method you have. I started out with Trello just because I should have just gone in originally with KV Core. So whichever way, if you're old school and you do pen and paper, if it's digital, whatever the method is that you use to overall have a 30,000 foot view of all of your referral or all of your clients, put them in there and make sure that you put them on your calendar to continue to reach out to. So if someone is reaching out now saying that they want to purchase a year later, I'm going to put them on my calendar as well, like not just my CRM. So that way I have there's that redundancy. So I make sure that they definitely don't fall out of my per view. So KV Core, your overall, method calendar, just to make sure that you do not forget about them. And next thing is before I schedule an actual deep conversation Zoom call, which I always do Zoom call, I'll get into this in a bit. I ask initial questions, like what's the best method to contact you? When are you looking? Because that way I can make sure that I am on my game. Like if they're looking to start viewing homes, like they're already pre-approved, that's going to be very, very different from how I treat somebody that's looking to purchase when they retire 2 years from now. So those initial questions, and then I have them jump on a call. This Zoom call is always a Zoom call because I do not meet buyers in person anymore. Every agent does their business differently. I started out in Tucson where it would take me 45 minutes to drive to one fucking location that was in the middle between me and them. And it was such a big waste of time. I was spending majority of my time freaking driving. And as much as I love driving, it was not making me money. So I bring this book up again and again because it's just so good. It's The Full Fee Agent. You're either the fool or the favorite. And I was going out of my way to prepare a buyer presentation, buyer consult. I was buying these freaking people straight up lunch. I was driving 45 minutes one way and then getting stuck in traffic on the way back, and only to then hear that sometimes they would work with other agents instead. And I got tired of that shit, man. I was like, I am obviously the fool. So I switched my lead generation method to be more of the favorite now. Again, that's not being covered on this. So I do a Zoom call. Now, as soon as someone reaches out to me, in all my lead generation methods, I always say book a call on my Calendly, and that automatically takes them to a free spot on my calendar where we can go in depth and talk about what specifically they're looking for and get the process started. My Zoom calls last between 30 minutes to an hour 30. It really depends on them. So I will have it, and I know this is where we differ, Shelby. Yours is, hey, it is 4:59, I'm out now. I feel like if they're not comfortable yet, I don't want to hang up the call, because after that call is when I send them the buyer broker, and I want to make sure that they have the feel good. So if it takes an hour and a half, yes. Only like twice has it ever taken that long, but usually it takes around an hour.
Okay, perfect. Love. I was just curious. Please continue.
Yeah. Alrighty. So whether they call me and leave a voicemail or text me or whatever it is, I always text them back and say, I'm so excited to help you. And even if you're moving and even if you plan on purchasing in 2025, or a year and a half out from now, let's schedule a call. No pressure. I'm not going to pressure you into anything. Obviously, you're not even looking to purchase yet, but let's schedule a call. Let's see if we're a good fit. So then I send them my Calendly link. This is if I'm texting them or if it's on my computer, it's a shortcut. So if you have an iPhone or even if you have an Android, go on your settings, look up text replacement. I have the phrase buyer with 2 R's. And then when I type in buyer with 2 R's in any conversation, in anything on my phone, it replaces it with the Calendly link for the next available slot so they can book a call. Always about saving time. And same thing for on a computer. So that's always the funnel. Even if the buyer wants to talk there on the phone, I don't do that. That's not my method. Because as soon as you change your fucking method, you forget what you've done. You forget your process. You forget if you've told them about agency. You forget if you've spoken to them about the timeline. So it's my process, it's my business. If you don't want to work with it the way that I do it, that's totally fine. You can find another agent. Again, fool or the favorite. So I send them my Calendly link. And this was also where I differ from other agents, where some other agents will keep it very, very minimal. Just get their name, number, email. I ask a fuck ton of questions. If you have Calendly, you know that they have a maximum of 10 questions. I max that bitch out. So because I want them to make sure that they're not just putting any old answers, I have this Calendly as a layer of friction. So you're not going to book a call just willy-nilly. Only serious buyers are actually going to answer these questions and book a call. And I do that on purpose. So I'm sharing my screen here, but I'm trying to vocalize everything of what I'm looking at. And
I have one note.
Question.
Yes, ma'am. So if you're sitting there and you have no buyers, no pipeline, no business at all, You want to eliminate the amount of friction that you have between you and the buyer, in my opinion, in the beginning to get reps. Because in the beginning, it's really important for you to have more conversations and get comfortable with that and learn how to be an agent. But as you build and grow, there's going to be this flip where your experience is greater, you have less time, and that is where you can start adding friction. So that way you can have more and more serious prospects. But in the beginning, in my opinion, which I don't even know if Ali agrees with this, but I think you need to be having fucking conversations, because if you're like, oh, you can't talk to me until you have your shit figured out, but you don't know how to talk to anyone and have no one to talk to, that it's just, so that's why I'm saying you have to be analytical in your building out your process and know that it does evolve over time. That's all.
Yeah, no, I'm glad that you bring up that point. As long as you are talking to actual people, do not fall for these dumbass scams. Like if it sounds too good to be true, it is. And if you really don't know if it sounds too good to be true because a buyer just found you randomly on Google and you don't even have a Google business page, like talk to a mentor, talk to somebody, be like, hey, does this sound legit? And always have like another set of eyes, because I do not want you to like just to waste your time. It's all about preserving your time. So, but yes, you cannot be pushing people away and having extra layers of friction if you have no fucking body to talk to. So, good point. So, we are now on my Calendly, and this is an example. Feel free to copy and paste my shit. I am literally sharing this. I have zoomed in all of the way. So, on the left-hand side, oh, it's 45 minutes. I have a 45-minute block, but do I go over? Yes. Do I go under? Yes. And so on the left-hand side, I say, my team and I are excited to work with you, because at this time, I'm not always the one. Actually, I'm rarely the one on these calls. Please fill out the entire form to book a call with me. My team and I are going to review it to prepare for our call. We're going to go over blah, 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 blah. Okay, for the fastest response, text me directly at my phone number. So on the right-hand side, these are the questions that I have with Calendly, and I'm asking for the first name, last name, email. I have the ability for them to add any guests, so any other buying parties or spouse, etc. The best contact number for them. The first actual question is like one of those radio buttons, a yes or no, and it says, will you be selling another home before or during this purchase? And if so, what's the full address with the zip code? And because that's an outbound referral in case they don't already have an agent. The third question is, what's the reason for buying, selling, and a date that you would like to close on your new home? What's the price range? And those are radio buttons as well. And this is very specific to Tucson market right now. So I have these ranges like specific, like for a reason. Anything under $200,000 in Tucson, that's a mobile home. So I lump that all in one. My next range is 200 to 350. The median sales price in Tucson, Arizona is 379.9. So that's like below the median. Then the next one I have with the median somewhat in the middle, 350 to 500, 500 to 700, 700 plus. And I also have a radio button for other where they just fill it in. I have gotten some feedback. Two people from this have said between the 200 to the 350 that it's such a big gap there. But both of those were people that have no idea what the Tucson market is. They thought they could get like a solid 5-bed, 3-bath home under 200. That's just not realistic. So just because you're receiving feedback doesn't mean that you need to change anything in your systems. This is a way for me to know exactly where people are purchasing and to pretty much show them that, I don't know, I feel like this price range says a lot to the buyer. Like if you're looking, well, anyway, we'll go into this more in the actual session later. So the next question is, are you pre-approved, or would you like to be connected to our preferred lenders? And the answers are either not pre-approved yet, I will use your lender, already pre-approved with a pre-approval in hand with another lender, or 3, they are a cash buyer. The next is fill in the blank, like where they can write like a paragraph out, not just one line, multiple lines. What are your top 3 must-haves? And I give some examples, square feet, number of stories, HOA or no HOA. And I define what must-haves are. Even though it's obvious to you, it's not obvious to buyers. It's not. So must-haves are, you will not even consider placing an offer unless the property has these 3 things. And I have this specifically written out for a reason, because fast forward, when they start sending us properties, if it does not meet the must-have, I call them out on it. because I don't want to waste their time. I don't want to waste our time. And I'll say, hey, I thought you had a must have of a 2-car garage. The houses that you now want to view don't have a garage at all, or it has a 1-car garage. What else has changed? Because this is such a big, important factor. The must have is so big. Uh, let's go back to meet over Zoom to discuss what else has changed. You'll find, if you're working with buyers, you'll find that sometimes buyers just want to send you freaking properties, and they will just have you running all over your town, showing properties that they never want to place an offer on. And you have to bring them back into what they originally were looking for. And if they originally said, we will not even place an offer unless unless the property has a 2-car garage, then why are you showing them homes with homes that only have a carport? So always, always, always have this. Same thing for top 3 wants. Something that they would like in a property, but not a necessity. Same thing for deal breakers, especially for deal breakers. If the property has these 3 things, you will not place an offer. We can cross these homes off of our list immediately as we see them because they have these deal breaker items. And then the last I have kind of as a catch-all, it's one of those pre-recorded ones, the templated ones with Calendly. Anything else you'd like for me to know to be better prepared for our meeting? So those are the questions that I have for buyers. If I've only found this one time, if I find that buyers don't fully answer these questions, then I will ask them to be a little bit more thorough and before I even book a call with them. But that's only ever happened once. Again, people aren't going to spend, because this takes some time, What this does is it forces buyers to talk to their spouses before they just book a call with me. And, before spouses have one opinion and the other spouse disagrees, and then we're all on a Zoom call wasting time because, honey, I thought you wanted a 2-car garage. Well, honey, I thought, no, figure that shit out on your own. Once you guys have decided as a unit, then book a call. So I am pretty harsh with that. A lot of people aren't as harsh. And I think maybe it's just because I've wasted a lot of my fucking time. And honestly, I have really good luck with buyers now. It's a process. You guys talk about it amongst yourselves. Once you know exactly what you're looking for, then we can start working. Yeah.
One comment from the peanut gallery. And that is something that, guys, just in general, a lot of these things you can hear. You can listen to Ali right now and be like, logically, I know she's right. However, in the moment, you still probably aren't going to do some of these things. And it's not until you've gotten your fucking teeth kicked in time and time again that you'll come back, 6 months from now and be like, okay, now I'm finally ready to implement. And it's just one of those things. You can hear it, and it's not until you actually feel the pain a lot of times. Same thing with buyers, but also working with investors. There's just a bunch of different. So just realize it's all part of the process.
It is. It is. It is.
If you are looking to change brokerages this year so you can increase your business and you want to join us at eXp Realty and would like either myself, Ali Garced, or Shelby Johnson to personally sponsor you in, so that way you have access to 2 icon agents, text the word JOIN to either my number, 914-318-4918, or Shelby's number, 703-399-4332. If I sponsor you and you have access to the both of us and everything that's 5 Pillars Nation, we have the checklist, the systems, the processes to help you scale your business. And don't take our word for it. We've had agents switch brokerages to join us that were stuck making $300,000 GCI, and they join us so they can scale. So text the word JOIN to those numbers and we'll take the next steps.
At this point, when someone books a call, I have a whole Calendly process. You know what? I'm gonna share this too. I'm gonna log into my Calendly and show you what the funnel is, the workflow is. So I do not get stood up. So here I'm showing you the behind the scenes of Calendly, and I have a ton of follow-ups. Text booking confirmation to host. And I have this for my buyers. Immediately when an event is booked, I get a text, and the invitee gets a text as well. And I have those texts to be set up immediately, 24 hours before the appointment and 2 hours before the appointment. You could also do just 1 hour before the appointment. But I like, in case they book far in advance, they at least get a 1-day warning and then a 2 hour. That way I know if they If they didn't show up to my call, I'm not chasing after them. Again, this might be different if you have nobody in the pipeline, but Floor the favorite. If you didn't show up, I know that you received 3 text messages from my system alone, and I reached out to you too. So, nah, it's okay. It's not a good fit. Totally fine. Next. So that's where I wanted to show you what I have behind the scenes. And again, this is not perfect, but it gets the job done. So, going back to my Trello, unless Shelby, you have anything else?
No questions at this time, Ali. Thank you.
So at that point, we have an idea of what their must-haves are, their wants, and their deal breakers. Review it, see if there are any properties that you may have under that you're listing that may be a fit. If not, reach out to your crew in that area. Do they have anything? Just so you can start looking. Of course, this is if the buyer is actually looking now. Don't do this if they're looking next year. But I do set them up on a search. So I go on my KV Core. My assistant has added them as a new contact, as a prospect, a buyer in Tucson with a tag, hot or warm or cold. And then what I do is I send them an email. So this email number 2, again, copy and paste. This is as big as I could zoom in though. Oh, perfect. Buyer email number 2. Yes, this is number 2 because previously I used to have buyer email number 1, but it was essentially everything that I asked them in my Calendly. So ever since I started using Calendly, I didn't have to send out buyer email number 1. Plus the response rate was pretty low because 1, it's an email, 2, it's a lot of work. So I made that mandatory. I made buyer 1 email mandatory. Again, that's in my Calendly. So I kind of skipped buyer email number 1. And now I just go straight to buyer email number 2. I could have shifted 2 to 1 and 3 to 2, but it was going to be too much in my head. I already have everything memorized. So buyer email number 2 is where I start out. I send this to anyone that booked a call on Calendly, and the title or the subject is "We're excited to work with you." Because it's more than just me. I have a bomb in here embedded, so you could see me like physically waving. There's like movement on this email, so they can click on this email or they can click on this video. This video is what I created, and it literally what I say is just I pretty much read what I have in words in this email because there are so many words in this email. But I want to make sure that I send them everything in case they are the analytical type like me, and to cover my fucking ass. So that way I could say, yes, I already sent you everything you needed. And I actually send them something like this throughout the entire process. And I send the same attachments over and over again, as you'll see throughout this series. So I send them an email and it says, "We're pumped you decided to work with the best realtor group out there." That's us. So what to do now? Because I think everyone likes a freaking checklist. No one wants to wonder, what do I do? When is my realtor going to reach out to me? What's the next step? I tell them exactly what to do now. Open the PDF attached. This contains the entire step-by-step on how to purchase a property. So that way, hopefully, it doesn't always happen, but hopefully they'll open the attachment and they already know how the buying process works in Tucson because, let me open the attachment right now. Buyer client PDF. This is a video series that I put together. Does it sound like a lot of work? Yes. But guess what? It is fucking one time. And now I use this over and over and over again. So that's how I'm able to save money and time. So it's a little bit about me. It's a PDF that I had my assistant make, and you can like click on it. It's like super cool. And it goes over the entire process of the home buying scenario in Tucson, what they can expect from me, what I can expect from them, which is submit a pre-qual letter. We're not going to show any houses. I say this over and over again. So that way, by the time they book a call with me, they usually already know I'm not going to show you houses until we have a buyer broker signed. And now we have to have a buyer broker signed. So now we can actually say that. General information, work hours. No one really, I usually just verbalize this and say, if you need me, text me. I do not answer calls. I straight up say that. And then as I continue scrolling down my PDF here, click to watch these videos. Buyer client expectations. This is where I go over what I expect of them, what they should expect of me. And nowhere in here do I say I'm available 24 hours. I set up the expectations. So, and then the next video is the home buying process. And the video after that is an old ass video. Oops, I still have it. Buying a home in Tucson, Arizona, what the market is. I kept this video on here for a reason because in 2022, the market was a lot hotter than it is now. It's still like semi-hot, definitely still a seller's market, but I kind of want to train the buyers that they cannot just lowball. And I am not the realtor to lowball with. So unless you're serious about buying a property, and then we may not be a good fit. So this video has essentially establishes urgency and scarcity because there aren't a lot of homes on the market in Tucson. So I kept that up even though it says 2022 market. The next video is how to shop for a lender, exactly what questions to ask them. And the next one, I have an entire video covering the purchase contract for that state. So that way, when it's time to place an offer, I don't have to then jump on a call with them as they're asking, hey, what does line 273 mean? What does line 143 mean? What does this mean? Everything is covered already in that video. And if they do have those questions, say they weren't the analyzing type and they didn't really care, they just kind of like type D and just whatever, just go with it, I can revert them back to this video. This video actually covers it the best. So I would suggest you go back to this. If you have any questions after that, then let's schedule another call and I'll answer those questions. That's exactly what I say. How's the market? Yes.
The videos, are these all still in BombBomb, or are these like unlisted on YouTube, or where are you hosting your videos?
Oh yeah, they are unlisted in YouTube. Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And then I have extra videos here too. The 4 important steps that buyers forget when placing offers, and 7 ways to make your offer stand out. This goes over, like we're offering 10,000 more if you accept our offer today, or, our offer expires here, or appraisal gap, contingent, all this stuff. The next video is I'm under contract, now what? And that covers from contract to close, any of the frequently answered questions that I've ever gotten, or really just explains the overall process. Inspections, the appraisal period, what to expect, calling the HOA, don't forget about paying your HOA bill, et cetera, et cetera. And this attachment I have for the rest of the contract, or for the rest of the contract. So going back to the words here in this lengthy email, what to do now. So I told them to open this buyer PDF, and I asked them again to cover my butt and to make sure I'm not wasting my time. Message me if you've already had other agents show you properties. You'll be surprised at how many times agents will say, "Oh, yeah, I'm not working with another agent," yet they've already signed. Or they always just sometimes, well, I don't want to say always. Sometimes they just say that they were ignorant to the fact that they didn't know that signing with an agent was as serious as it is. And sometimes they're correct. They actually didn't know because that realtor didn't explain to them, signing this means you're only working with me. So now you've taken the time out of your day to work with clients that were already represented by somebody else. Fun. Love that for us. Step 3 is walk through the purchase contract with the video that I made for you. This is a duplicate. This is another redundancy. This is in that PDF, but I want this to especially stand out. So I have it linked in here, again, to that unlisted video on YouTube that goes over the entire purchase contract. And then number 4 is check your spam or junk folder, because I have put you on a list. Remember when we put them in our KV Core and set them up on a list according to their wants and must-haves and deal breakers? And then another redundancy, step 5, review the video on 7 ways to make your offer stand out. Again, that's already listed on my PDF. Number 6 is review the buyer advisory. This is to cover your ass on the due diligence best practices, and that I got from the MLS and or the association. Number 7 is send us your pre-approval letter or your proof of funds. We cannot take the next steps without that. Then I have some more information at the bottom of how I want them to start thinking about when they're viewing properties. When they come across a property on Zillow or on Redfin or wherever it is, before they send me any properties in the group chat that I'm going to create, I want them to do a couple of things. If they are not local, the first thing they're going to do, and I tell them this again in that first Zoom call with them, before you throw any properties at me, I want to make sure you do a couple of things. Number 1 is go on maps.google.com, drop the little yellow guy in the corner, and walk all of the streets around the neighborhood. Do you think you will feel comfortable? After you've done that, go on Crime Grade or Spot Crime and look at the crime maps, because I cannot legally talk about crime. That's considered steering and that's illegal. I can't do that. Plus, I'm from New York City, and what we consider safe and not safe is probably different. So go on crime maps and look at that. If schools are important to you, go on niche or go on greatschools.org. And only after it's passed those 3 tests, if you're not local, then send the property over to me and I'll do some extra research and see if they're accepting VA loans or see what their timeline is. I'll do some more research after that. There's just no point unless you know for sure that you would make an offer on it. So it does have to be like a 7 out of 10. And that's what I say if they're not local. If they are local, then fuck the maps.google.com. I want you to drive there, drive the neighborhood before you even send it to me in the group chat. Again, I sound super harsh, but it works. I don't know, like whether I'm talking to like people older than me, younger than me, like it works, because this is not, chances are they may not buy properties too many times. So this is a good refresher for them. Oh yeah, maybe I should think about how my daughter is going to feel when she walks around this neighborhood. Maybe it is a good idea to go to the property at midnight on a Friday, which is what I tell them to do, and literally get out of the car and walk around the property, because there is no point of seeing the inside if you are going to be scared every time you leave your house. So that's the change that I do when they're already local, that I want them to see the outside before we even meet to schedule to go on the inside. Any questions so far, Shelby?
Nope, I'm with you.
If you are looking to change brokerages this year so you can increase your business and you want to join us at eXp Realty and would like either myself, Ali Garced, or Shelby Johnson to personally sponsor you in, so that way you have access to 2 icon agents, text the word join to either my number 914-318-4918 or Shelby's number 703-399-4332. If I sponsor you and you have access to the both of us and everything that's 5 Pillars Nation, we have the checklist, the systems, the processes to help you scale your business. And don't take our word for it. We've had agents switch brokerages to join us that were stuck making $300,000 GCI, and they join us so they can scale. So text the word join to those numbers and we'll take the next steps.
Any questions so far, Shelby?
Nope, I'm with you.
Cool. Make sure that before you send the property over to our group chat, that it's within the pre-approval amount, of course. And always, always, always make sure that you and your spouse are on board. So the last thing I want to do is show you properties, go under contract, and guess what? Your spouse had no idea that you were looking at this property. She doesn't like the kitchen, or he doesn't like the garage. And then what do you know? We have to fall out of contract and I look like a dirtbag. And I straight up say that too. I'm like, I do not want my reputation to be ruined. So please, 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 if you could respect that, that would be super appreciated, because I don't want people to think Ali, the agent, places offers only to then cancel. And they're always like, oh yeah, I never thought about it that way. Totally. And so that happens. And that happens because I say this now because it's part of my checklist, because I got burned. I got burned. One time I was representing a buyer and the husband did not tell his wife, and his wife barely even knew that she was under contract. And when I sent them photos of the house, they were like, what the hell? I want to back out. And I was like, what? How are you as a grown ass man not communicating with your wife? So I was like, never again will this happen to me. I'm going to make sure that the spouse is included in all emails, is in the text message, even if he says he is the only decision maker. I don't care. Like, I am adding everyone that's going to be on the deed and the loan. Everyone's going to be in the group chat. And I do want to point out too, like when you're on that Zoom call, sometimes, as you know, one person dominates the conversation. Like it might be the wife, it might be the brother or whoever it is. Make sure you're including the other person. So as you're saying, okay, as you're reviewing the 3 must-haves or the 3 wants, if one person is mainly talking as opposed to another, make sure after every single point that you cover, you bring them in. Is there anything else that you want to point out, Rachel or, whoever? Because sometimes there will be things that they are not saying because they're just used to their spouse doing all the talking, and it is going to come back when you're under contract. So avoid it. The overall theme, if you can't tell, is to nix properties before you even go in them. The more that we can narrow down, it's not, oh my gosh, yes, we have 30 properties to look at. It's excellent. We have 6 properties that meet our criteria. These are the serious ones. Like you just want to, again, just preserve your time. So again, after that, I have make sure that the numbers work out for them. If you are serious about the property enough to where you want to make an offer, send it to me via the group chat. I will look up all the agent notes and email you all the documents attached. So I've already had these layers of friction, right? Like you go to the property or you go to the neighborhood if you're here. Make sure you like it. Make sure it's at 11 p.m. on a Friday night. Do you hear gunshots? Do you feel safe? Okay, cool. Or not. All right, next. Or maps on Google, essentially trying to take properties off. No, it doesn't match. No, it doesn't match. It doesn't meet the criteria. If it does, then at that point, I'm going to do research. I'm going to see, does it accept the VA loan? Does it accept whatever? Are there any sort of contingencies or anything that the seller is looking for that might not match my buyer's timeline? And I'll tell them. Sometimes good listing agents will attach reports such as the inspection or the insurance, which is mandatory in Tucson or in Southern Arizona, and the SPUDs, which is the seller property disclosure statement. So anything that they have, I will analyze it. I'm going to go on BombBomb or Loom, create a video and say, hey, this is the property on 100 Main Street that you were looking at. Before I just send this to you and have you do the digging and read through this that you've never seen before, I wanted to explain this to you. So 100 Main Street, it seems like they did have to file an insurance claim because of a roof leak 2 years ago. So we're definitely going to want a roof inspection. And it looks like it wasn't actually fixed yet, or, whatever it might be. Or it looks like they continuously have, a pool crack that's like not being able to be fixed. So that's going to be a lot of money. We're going to want a pool inspection too, just to make sure. I'm sending this to you. If you think that this is too big of a reason and might be a deal breaker for you, let me know. We'll cross this off the list and we'll move on to the next property, because I only want to show you homes that are a hell yes for you. And after that, I say, as soon as, send me the top 5 homes that are a hell yes for all buyer parties, and let's go view. This entire email is before the first Zoom call. I'm like hitting them with information, because as a buyer, you might be trying to get on multiple realtors' calendars, other realtors answer their phone and then put them on a drip, or just trying to meet them in person or whatever it is. I try to send as much information as I would have wanted in the beginning. What does a contract look like? Can you explain that to me? And I've done that before I've even met with them. So the other attachments that I have here are just redundants. So what you can expect of me, it's on a Google Doc. It's again already on my PDF as a video. I have the purchase contract, a blank one. I have the additional clause addendum, which are examples of how to make your offer stand out as I go over the appraisal gap waiver or the escalation clause and like all that stuff. The buyer's roadmap, which is, let me click on these buttons. I forgot I'm even sharing. The buyer's roadmap I got from 5 Pillars Crew. Hey, look at this. And it's a pretty little like wheel of just the overall home buying process. Then let me go back here. This is the additional clause addendum. So again, if this is a backup offer or et cetera, non-refundable earnest money, that's a great way to get your offer accepted. Add your states. This is the purchase contract. And that's my PDF. And then I also have the buyer advisory. My TC is also sending the buyer advisory. Again, we're both like covering each other's asses, making sure that they get this sooner rather than later. And that is buyer email number 2. Before we get to the Zoom call, Shelby, do you have anything?
It is so much information before ever meeting with them. And it does make sense about why you're able to really like hone in, laser focus on serious and efficient, effective buyer relationships. Gold fucking star times a million, Ali. That's fucking awesome. This is literally so legit. So legit.
And what's funny is I probably should ask how many people actually even open up these attachments. I bet only the analytical type, but if they are analytical, I have it there for them. And I know that other agents are doing it. So even if they don't open it, it's there.
You did the work once, and now it's not like literally it takes you 2 seconds. So it wasn't superhuman, right? It was hard to see.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it takes 2 fucking seconds to send that out. She did it once, and now it's going to pay her tenfold. Not tenfold, a millionfold.
Yeah.
Bajillion.
Yeah. All I have to do is literally 2 clicks of the keyboard and
Yep.
it's up. Then I just have to add their email. And we have other videos on Superhuman. And so if you are looking to get into Superhuman, reach out to us. We have
Amazing. Highly
affiliates.
recommend.
And it's
Yeah. Best
oh
thing
my
ever.
God, 100%. I was hesitant in the beginning, and yeah, now
Game
I'm
changer.
100% into it.
Okay.
So then all of that is
Yes.
before I even meet with them.
Yeah. And that's so next, what are we doing next? What's the next series? Or is there more for today?
I think I'll go ahead and so that's sending email number 2.
Mm-hmm.
At that point, I'm waiting to meet with them. If they have any questions, they'll be like, "Oh, if they want to meet earlier, freaking meet earlier. If they want to change it to meet later, meet later." But at that point, any questions that they have, chances are my email has already answered it. So again, the overall point of this is some people will want to go at their pace. They want to FaceTime, or they want to do a phone call at 10 p.m. or they want to do this. This is your business. This is the way that you run clients. You wouldn't FaceTime an attorney and be like, "Well, this is how I want to do it." Like, so don't bend over backward. Again, like, people actually respect a process. So if you thought that this was too intense, it fucking works for me. So maybe try it, And let me just make sure that I covered everything. During the Zoom call, we're going to go over a little bit more of today's market in buying or selling in Tucson. I'm going to have the main point of contact there, which is the agent that on my crew that I refer out to, depending on their price point and where they're looking at, because we have a specialist in all areas. So that is everything of what I do until we meet on Zoom and have that initial call. So the next part of this buyer series is going to be starting from the Zoom call, quickly going over that, and then going over the documents and going into drafting the offer and the process that I have there, to where, again, I'm not reinventing the wheel. It's a couple of clicks on the keyboard, ready to go. So if you want me to go into any further detail about any specific part, reach out to us. Give us a comment on YouTube or Spotify or Apple or Instagram. We're here for it. Ali the Agent, The Shelby Show. Be a bro and share this show. Do you mind marking this seam?
Marked. There's also a giant spider on the wall in front of me.
Stop. Oh, me?
No,
Oh.
my end, not yours. Oh my God. That was hilarious,
shit.
though. Yeah, Rem, do not cut that out. That was great.